LeBron James has officially entered territory no other NBA legend ever wanted attached to their legacy. After another brutal playoff exit, this time at the hands of the Oklahoma City Thunder, LeBron now stands alone near the very top of one of basketball's most uncomfortable records, being eliminated in 5 games or fewer. Sweeps, gentlemen's sweeps, short-lived playoff runs. Throughout his legendary 23-year career, LeBron has now suffered 8 postseason exits that ended in total domination. More than half of his playoff eliminations have come without a real fight lasting beyond 5 games. And for a player constantly presented as the greatest of all time, critics are having an absolute field day with it. The story starts back in 2007 when a young LeBron dragged the Cleveland Cavaliers to the NBA Finals for the very first time. At the time, the media painted it as one of the greatest carry jobs ever. LeBron stormed through an Eastern Conference that, looking back, really was not nearly as dangerous as people tried to make it seem. In fact, Cleveland only faced one team above .50 during that playoff run before reaching the finals. But once they finally ran into the powerhouse San Antonio Spurs, reality hit hard. The Spurs completely locked the series down from the opening tip. Even though Cleveland's defense actually did a respectable job holding San Antonio to under 87 points per game, LeBron struggled badly offensively. He averaged just 22 points per game while shooting a rough 35% from the field, and somehow managed to commit more turnovers than every other Cavalier combined. The result was a clean 4-game sweep, instantly placing the first mark on LeBron's growing list of playoff collapses. A few years later, LeBron decided Cleveland was not enough. In one of the most controversial moves in sports history, he announced he was taking his talents to South Beach and joining the Miami Heat. Suddenly, he was no longer the underdog carrying weak rosters. Now he was teamed up with Dwayne Wade, already considered one of the best players in basketball, along with Chris Bosh, another superstar from the Eastern Conference. Expectations exploded overnight. Then came the famous prediction: not 1 championship, not 2, not 3, not 4. LeBron confidently suggested this super team could win 8 titles together. Instead, what followed became one of the most mocked moments of his career. By the 2014 NBA Finals, the Heat looked exhausted and vulnerable. Across from them stood those same relentless Spurs, now hungry for revenge after heartbreakingly losing the 2013 Finals. What happened next was basketball destruction. The Spurs dismantled Miami in 5 games, turning the Finals into a clinic on ball movement and teamwork. Miami's only victory came by just 2 points, while San Antonio's wins came by nearly 18 points per game. It was not competitive. It was humiliation on the biggest stage possible, adding another gentleman's sweep to LeBron's resume. LeBron eventually returned to Cleveland and built yet another powerhouse roster, this time alongside Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. The move worked immediately, especially after the historic 2016 comeback against the Golden State Warriors. But that victory also triggered something far worse for the rest of the league. Golden State responded by recruiting Kevin Durant, creating arguably the most stacked team that NBA fans had ever seen. The 2017 Finals quickly turned into another nightmare. LeBron put up monster numbers statistically, but the Warriors were simply overwhelming. Durant, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green were too much firepower for anybody to survive. Cleveland managed just 1 win before Golden State closed the series in 5 games, handing LeBron another gentleman's sweep. Somehow, things got even worse the following season. The 2018 Finals are remembered for multiple reasons: the legendary Game 1 performance from LeBron, the late-game mistakes from teammates, and the infamous J.R. Smith moment. But after that heartbreaking opener, the series completely spiraled out of control. Golden State swept Cleveland in 4 straight games. Afterwards, LeBron appeared at the post-game press conference wearing a cast and revealed he had allegedly played with a broken hand. Critics immediately questioned the timing because there had been no visible signs of injury during the games themselves. Fair or unfair, the narrative stuck. Another sweep was officially added to the record books.
At that point, LeBron's sweep count already looked ugly, but the real damage came after he left the Eastern Conference entirely. For 15 straight years, LeBron had dominated the East, often facing weaker competition on the road to the finals. But once he joined the Los Angeles Lakers and moved to the Western Conference permanently, the playoff exits became much harsher. The first major example came during the 2023 Western Conference Finals against the Denver Nuggets. Despite strong production from Anthony Davis, who averaged 27 points and 14 rebounds on ridiculous efficiency, the Lakers simply couldn't solve Nikola Jokic. Even with several late-game leads throughout the series, Denver remained calm every single time and completed another sweep. 4 games, 0 mercy, another mark against LeBron. Then came the 2024 playoffs, and somehow the matchup got even more frustrating for Lakers fans. Once again, Denver eliminated Los Angeles in 5 games. Anthony Davis played incredible basketball, averaging 28 points and 16 rebounds on ridiculous efficiency. The Lakers actually led for nearly 70% of the total minutes played in the series, but whenever the game tightened late, Denver stole control back immediately. Jamal Murray repeatedly crushed the Lakers with clutch shots, while Jokic controlled every aspect of the floor. Another gentleman's sweep entered the history books, and by now the criticism surrounding LeBron had evolved into something brutal. It was no longer just about losing. Plenty of great players lose. It was about how often these losses ended quickly and decisively. Fans started joking that if LeBron lost a series, it usually didn't last long. Then came the 2025 postseason, where the Lakers entered with renewed hope thanks to the addition of Luka Doncic. Pairing Luka with LeBron sounded terrifying on paper. Surely this would finally change things. Instead, against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Luka averaged around 30 points per game, but the Lakers still got bounced in just 5 games. Another gentleman's sweep, another early exit, another embarrassing playoff ending for one of the greatest players the game has ever seen. And finally, the latest chapter arrived against the Oklahoma City Thunder. This series was not merely a loss, it was a demolition. The Thunder dominated the Lakers from start to finish with relentless energy, athleticism, and depth. By the time the series ended, the point differential sat near historic levels. The Lakers were outclassed in virtually every category imaginable: defense, pace, execution, youth, stamina. Oklahoma City looked superior everywhere. That elimination officially pushed LeBron's total of playoff exits in 5 games or fewer to 8. For perspective, LeBron has played in 19 postseasons across his legendary career. He's won 4 championships, appeared in countless finals, shattered records, and built one of the greatest resumes basketball has ever seen. But out of his 15 seasons ending without a title, more than half concluded in overwhelming defeat. Not heartbreaking Game 7 losses, not dramatic final possessions, sweeps and gentlemen's sweeps. That statistic is now fueling endless debates about legacy, dominance, and longevity. Supporters argue that simply reaching so many finals and deep playoff runs is proof of greatness. Critics counter that repeatedly losing in an uncompetitive fashion should matter just as much as the victories themselves. Now the basketball world waits for the next decision. At 41 years old and entering yet another off-season filled with questions, LeBron stands at a crossroads. Will he retire and finally close the book on one of the most accomplished careers in sports history? Will he return to Los Angeles for another attempt at contention? Or will he once again take his talents somewhere else in pursuit of one final championship before the curtain closes completely? Whatever happens next, one thing is undeniable. LeBron James's playoff story has become one of both historic greatness and historic extremes.